So you're trying to take control of your time, but everything feels chaotic. Your calendar is slammed, your to-do list is overflowing, and every productivity hack you try just feels like one more thing to do. But what if there was a way to finally take your mornings back and build a life that actually works for you? Today, I'm joined by Amy Landino. She's a time management expert, keynote speaker, and the author of the best-selling book, Good Morning, Good Life. And on top of that, Amy has been creating YouTube content for nearly 2 decades, helping millions of people build better habits and routines that actually stick. She's one of the OG YouTube creators in the productivity space, and she's got the receipts to prove it with 1,500 plus videos and nearly 500,000 subscribers. In this episode, we dive into mindset, systems, boundaries, and how to own your time, especially if you're building something from scratch. So whether you're a business owner, a freelancer, or just someone trying to find margin, again, this episode is going to challenge you and equip you. Let's get into it.
3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Making Varsity. My name is Brad Chandler. I'm your host, and I'm so excited to have best-selling author and productivity coach Amy Landino with us today. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Brad. It's so exciting to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here too. So, Amy, you first came on my radar I want to say maybe 6 months ago, and you had this Instagram reel that really kind of went crazy around the fake assistant. I think you called her Olivia, which shout out Kerry Washington. All right, everybody loves Scandal, right? So come on, somebody that gets things done, okay?
Somebody who understands the assignment.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
They got to understand the assignment. And so I saw this, and as a new entrepreneur, really launching out, stepping out, where you are the CEO, the chief everything officer, right? You're balancing everything. And this whole concept came into play. I was like, I am stealing this. I'm implementing this. All right. And so walk us through that, the fake assistant thing, because I think it's going to give everybody a little bit of a framework of who you are and what you're all about. So
I just want to start by saying, I know the name is a little risque. Okay. When we hear the word fake, it really screams, just like we're trying to pull a fast one on people. I
Sure.
want you to just start with an open mind here.
Yep.
That we're all in a place early on in our business where we're just trying to figure some things out, and we do ourselves a little bit of a disservice because we're happy to be a student of the process, but sometimes you're a little too loud about how student of the process that you are, and it shows itself in, oh, sure, here's the friends and family discount. Oh, sure, I'm available for a meeting in 5 minutes with, I got nothing else on my docket. So there's some things that we have to work on when we get started in business that come for setting boundaries, where that stuff gets built in on the job because you have bosses and coworkers and calendars and all kinds of things that hold you accountable. When you are now your own boss, you have to learn how to do that yourself. So if you've been struggling with that, one of the things that I did, certainly when it came to, I need to charge a little bit more money, I need to just say no to things, and I'm really bad at saying no, was just, if I could just have my assistant do it, it would be so much easier. But I didn't have the budget for an assistant yet. So I thought, okay, well, what if I just pretended to be my assistant? I might actually be really good at flexing these boundaries. So that's how the fake assistant method came to be. I opened up a separate email account.
Right. It's like $6 extra a month. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what? And you got a budget for it, but it's the beginning of budgeting for an assistant. Yes. A dedicated inbox. The most important thing you could do is just have a separate space. And because I'm going to tell you what happens in the future. Someday you're going to have an assistant, and it's going to scare the crap out of you that they're supposed to take over your email because you've blended some things, some personal things, some business things. So just early on, start thinking about it as, if I had an assistant, they would have their own account. I'm going to open that account, pretend they're there. That's pretty much it. And then when you start getting requests or when you start negotiating and meeting people, I'm going to copy my assistant on this. I'm going to forward this to my assistant. And anything that in the future should be handled by an assistant, you just start acting the part. Now, You're not buying your time back yet, right? As you would with an assistant where you pay somebody to handle those tasks because you're still doing them. But you're going to log into that account and any coffees you're going to schedule, travel you need to book, negotiating or sending a media kit, sending a pricing kit. You're going to do all of that from the assistant account. And because of that, a couple things happen. First of all, you set the tone for how business is done with you. You're just figuring that out, but it's really good for you to learn what tone you want to set with people. And secondly, where a lot of people think this is all about faking it till you're making it, it's not. It's really about, okay, I need to prove to myself that I actually do really need an assistant. And I'm going to show you how to prove it to yourself real quick. When you separate the talent work, the thing that's extraordinary to you, the talent work from the admin work, and you log how many hours you spent in that administrative email and realize that, wow, I spent 25 hours of my week scheduling coffees, booking travel, doing all these things. And I am a high-paid, terrible assistant. You could pay somebody way better than you at those things, and they'll make a little bit less money for that skill set because it's not a high-value position. What I coach my clients on is that. Get yourself into the high-value work so you bring in more money so you can hire that assistant. The fake assistant method helps you set those boundaries, maybe raise your prices a little bit because you're able to set those boundaries, and you're creating the standard operating procedure for that assistant that comes in to work with you, and they can read your emails and see how you'd like them to handle the job.
That's so perfect. And I think that gives so much of a framework of what you're all about, which are, the idea of creating systems. And as a result of that, success follows. And I really relate to what you're saying there too, because, there was a point in my career where I was speaking out more, doing more public speaking. And before I launched into the entrepreneur space. And that's always a tricky conversation. I think I even mentioned to you before, especially kind of being from the church, like nonprofit space, like the payment, the speaking, the price negotiation is always a bit of an awkward process. And so I think having that assistant email, it always just that little bit of a buffer. And then the other thing you mentioned too is really your time, your schedule, because, being able to have, an executive assistant or someone screening your emails, if you have to book someone out 2 or 3 weeks ahead, it creates less of that. Oh, what you big time now? You don't have enough time or that type of thing, and then other people end up managing your calendar, and so
it can, and that part is weird, right? Like, oh, I'm going to pass you off to my assistant now. It's just like hold the phone, Susie, babe. We grew up down the street from each other. That's not something you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
There's a grace to that, right?
Sure.
But you can show someone the time of day and treat them the way that they deserve to be treated. Because guess what? As chief creative and CEO, I have basically labeled myself the worst person at details. So I like to tell people we're going to get work done better this way. I'm still here. We're still here. But you get better at that really challenging process, which a lot of people have of, I need to charge more to speak. How do I tell someone who's a friend of a friend who said, hey, come speak to my event? Da, da, da. And it's weird because maybe you used to be in a nonprofit or in a church where you spoke a lot and there was definitely no money exchanging hands. It gets weird. You have to feel that process out, allow yourself to be a student of that process, and incorporate some support in the meantime.
So I think one of the things, to key in on there is really this idea around boundaries, and especially when it comes to protecting our time. And I think that, whether it's in your book, Good Morning, Good Life, make sure to pick that up as well. A link will be in the show notes. But, when it comes to time blocking, I mean, and we'll get into this a little bit too with the YouTube creation, but 1,500 videos just around everything from time management to productivity. And I really put you in that same space with, the Tiago Forte, the Ollie's, these type of creators. No, seriously,
good company.
Seriously,
thank you.
I think there's Tiago's book right there. He's hanging out. The
I
Prayer
adore
Method.
Tiago. I have them right here as well.
100%. And so I put you really in that same category, and a lot of it is really getting confident in your yeses and getting confident in your nos. And so talk a little bit about why it's so important to protect our boundaries when it comes to time management. And I'll tell you, one of my mentors, the way he used to say it is, when are you not available, and really having confidence, in some of those areas. And so just around boundaries when it comes to time management.
Yeah, I want to start on that note because I think that's really important. Anytime I've had a rude awakening on my time, I remember what a colleague of mine asked me, and he just said, "What's on your not to-do list?" We're very good at reading the Tiago books and creating systems for all the to-dos, right? And there are lots of to-dos that are exciting, and they end up getting flooded by lots of to-dos that are default to our life and lots of to-dos that people are so presumptuous as to assume you'll say yes to no matter what, even though you have no desire. And so we have to have a way of filtering that out. I like to have a not to-do list as a good place to start because we're usually better at the negative than we are the positive to be so excited about our big dreams and fabulous things we want to do. It starts by saying, what do I never want to do again?
What is the thing that kind of, I guess, rises up in you where you go, that lands on the not to do list, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't want to go to many more baby showers in my life. I can tell you that.
Okay, I got you.
I'm so thrilled for people and children. I have a 3 and 1 year old, guys. For everybody that has kids, they usually say after I said to them, I have a 3 and 1 year old, oh, you're in it. I'm like, yes,
Sure.
I am. Thank you for acknowledging that.
But is something your
in
body's telling you, like in that
it.
moment? Like, what
My
is
body
it?
is telling
Yeah.
me that I can show love to somebody who's having a major milestone moment in their life. But if they are not a certain degree of relationship to me, as in, have we even spoken once this year?
Yeah.
That I would spend an entire 3 or 4 hours likely away from my core family. I call us the core 4, myself, my husband, and my 2 kids. If my core 4, if I could spend 4 hours on a Sunday with my core 4, rather than with a bunch of people who are borderline strangers, as much as I adore them and anyone who's involved with them, and I'm so happy and excited and I can't wait to send them every gift that meant something to me as a new mom. I want to do all of those things, but I can't get that time back with my kids. If I get to go back to Ohio to see my family, I can't get that time back. Those are the things that are top for me. So if I get an invitation to an event like that, that's one thing that's usually on the chopping block because I like to have fun. But I also know exactly what my top priorities are, and I know what actually fun looks like. Most people don't think the fun things I find are fun are that fun. So, but it's my decision. So I'll decide, okay, for the most part, weddings, baby showers, birthday parties, for someone, you weren't in my bridal party, I haven't spoken to you more than twice or one time this year. There are some reasons why I'm not defaulting to yes on an RSVP card that yes, you spent a lot of money to send to me in the mail, but I'm probably not coming. Like, it's just not going to happen. And unless I might change my mind. I went to a baby shower recently and I was like, that's one I would usually say no to. And I wanted to. I just wanted to. It's being able to say that. But for the most part, there are certain people I know aren't married off yet or like, there's a baby coming maybe soon. And I'm like, I'm going to that. But everybody else, I'm going to be so thrilled to tell them how happy I am for them and shower them with all my love in many other ways. But time is not something I can get back.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it really is this non-renewable resource. I actually had a quote I wanted to share with you that is from actually an old theologian, A.W. Tozer. And he says this, that he said, let me find it. Here it is. Time is a resource that is non-renewable and non-transferable. You cannot store it, slow it up, hold it up, divide it up, or give it up. You cannot hoard it up or save it up for a rainy day. When it's lost, it is unrecoverable. And when you kill time, remember that it has no resurrection. So I would love your just reaction to that, of time truly being this non-renewable resource. And I think I even heard you talk a little bit recently about time management versus energy management, energy being something that is renewable, right? So, maybe speak to that a little bit.
I would love to, but I love that quote so much, and I'm going to have to save that one in my database because it's like, that is exactly what I'm talking about. The things that you know from a gut check are a hard pass. The reason that is because you know you're expending energy on it and not getting a lot of energy back from it, right? I could consider going to the gym something I got to spend energy on. And I do have to spend energy on it. But the level at which I am a high performer after I leave the gym how I operate the rest of the day, how happy I am, how I interact with my kids and my husband because I've done that for myself, I get energy back from that. So by knowing where those time sinks are, the thing you hit on the head with that quote is everyone's favorite phrase they find me for on YouTube is time management. But I don't know about you, but are you managing your time right now? It's just going by. I can't even hold on to it. What we can manage is our energy. And when we say yes to things that are a hard pass, we're spending energy with no intention on renewing it somehow. If we're saying yes to things because we feel like we have to all the time, you're not just spending energy, you're spending that ability to feel confident in yourself and your own decision making because you keep allowing other people to make decisions for you and just defaulting to what those are. So that's what it really is to me, to shift the thinking from time management to energy management. How many things am I saying yes to that are actually serving me in the way that I want to live my life? Does this life even look the way I would have designed it? And silly things like the baby shower thing. The other hard pass, just on a business side of things, is I mostly say no to meetings. It has to be pretty major for me to take a meeting. Now, I've engineered my business that way. I own the place. I know how we make money. I know where my talent applies to how we make money. And those are the meetings I show up for. Meetings sitting here filming content, meetings with my clients, meetings with my publisher, just whoever I have to talk to that 100% that wasn't an email. That wasn't just a fun. And I will network with people and take those meetings. But if you invite me to something, I'm hardcore asking you for the agenda and what the time limit is, because I need to know that you're taking my time seriously. And we live in a corporate culture where people just have meetings to figure out solutions to problems, but nobody's prepared for the meeting and they spend 2 hours in it. And it's like, who's doing that? Stop.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned earlier about talking about the to-do list. And I think, you have some really solid takes on to-do lists, not to-do lists. And the thing about a to-do list too is that our brain doesn't know how to rank the priority of it. Like, we have to intentionally do that. I think I've heard you talk about this on another interview, really just the power of note cards. I've got a fresh stack of index cards here that I'm going to have to break out soon. And I actually learned this from a teammate, really just this idea of a brain dump. And I have to do this about once every 2 to 3 months, where every single idea, like today, I've got to take my dog to the groomer. That has an index card. Now, is that on my top list of priorities? No. But my brain doesn't know that. My brain has the same, it takes up the same amount of space as this interview today. And it has a certain,
Isn't that
the brain
crazy?
doesn't know.
Why
so crazy.
Why can't our brains be smarter than that?
It feels that way. And so the power of really this exercise of the brain dump, and I'm going to actually link this in the show notes as just kind of a take home for you to be able to put this exercise into places. It's a really intentional, guided mind dump exercise to just get everything out of your brain into a physical inbox. And I've heard you allude to this too, and correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like you're pulling on some threads from like getting things done and some other productivity things.
Tiago's books. I mean, I know that this was touched on a bit in the para method. Like, here's the reason why I like note cards. I'm so happy because I did a whole video dedicated to note cards.
Let's go. I'll link that too.
I'm the person that goes to the store just to go find a shiny notebook. I'm so excited to just go find a shiny notebook. Now, what happens is you buy a shiny notebook and you don't want to damage it with your silly little thoughts. So it just sits there just like perfect. What I love about note cards is when you have to be in that, and Brad, I do that brain dump every day because it gets real busy. So I have those note cards ready to go because I don't want to romanticize the thought that I need to remove from my head and give a place to live. Because the really cool thing is when you take it out, you write it down and you go, oh, yeah, I can pretty much disregard that. That's really stupid now that I'm looking at it with my eyes. And then if it's a real thing like schedule the groomer, it just gets compartmentalized to, okay, when I'm doing scheduling things, we will get to that. But to your point, your brain cannot file things by priority. So where you're going, I got to prep for this interview. I got to set up the groomer. Did I remember to switch the laundry? These things continue to show up. And when you take your pencil to paper and you write it down, you trick your brain into thinking that you handled it. You didn't handle it is still a task, but you gave it a place. So now, my favorite phrase is Ohio, because that's where I'm from. Ohio, only handle it once. The worst thing in the world is when you have a thought on repeat that you're not even excited about. I think they call that anxiety. I'm not sure. But it's this task or this worry or this thing. Just give it a place to live. And it's like you've handled it and you only had to handle it once because you told your brain you handled it. Now, when you're ready to actually handle things, you go, you look at your note cards, your task list, whatever you prefer, and you go, oh, now I know what to do with this, and I have the bandwidth too. It's giving it a space to live outside of your mind so your mind can focus on the more important things.
100%. Yeah, my pastor used to talk about like from Field of Dreams where he would say, clear the mechanism, and it's that daily act of just kind of, getting everything out on the paper. So you're saying it's a daily practice for you. And I mean, speak to that a little bit too, because I think the power of having something tactile like this is that we also live in this world where there are so many kind of digital solutions to this too. And I know Tiago speaks to this as well, where we kind of romanticize even the note-taking process, right? Where, oh my gosh, we've got our Notion templates and we're in Obsidian. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, right, like there's this a whole world around dashboards and all of this, and you can get lost in that. And if you're not careful, you could be spending 4 to 5 hours a day on your productivity system that's not actually making you very productive.
Oh, I think one of my favorite things I learned from the Para method is don't ever make a folder for something that you don't have anything to put inside of it.
Yes.
Have you guys ever done that in like Google Drive? Yeah. You created this perfect folder system and then years into the future, you go and you see that folder and you're like, I have that? And you open it and it's empty. It's so disappointing.
I have an empty folder for my culinary career that has never really it's not gotten off the ground yet. So.
That's why I love that he talked about that, because you can go and get the perfect tool, the perfect filing system. I love the way Amy's notes looked. By the way, guys, we have to create fake notes for our YouTube videos so you don't see our private notes. So even the notes that you see in these perfect Notion boards or these perfect Google Drive layouts or these perfect Evernotes or whatever it is, they're a little fabricated. So you
wait, they're not the ones you actually use?
Of course not. I don't want you to see my private business. So I have to duplicate what I made and I have to make fake ones so that I don't have to have an editor spend 70 hours censoring my information.
Absolutely.
So it's really important to note that you're trying to build a perfect system based on someone else's notes. You need to build a perfect system around the notes you actually want to have. This goes back to the note card thing. Forget all those systems. Before you go create one, switch to note cards. And of the 100, the first 100 note cards you write out, see how many make the cut. Imagine you're planning on putting those note cards in a digital database that you want to keep forever and be able to reference. Will it make the cut? Because this comes down to you need a system for things that need a system. But don't go building lots of frivolous organization systems just so you can organize a lot of nothing. We mostly need to subtract for success in our lives, not try to wrangle all the thoughts we've ever had into a perfect system so we feel like we checked every box.
100%, 100%. What if I told you that your voice could be the most powerful asset in your business? And what better way to use your voice than starting a podcast? In fact, a comprehensive podcast strategy could be the missing link in your business's marketing mix. But how do you get started and how do you make sure that it actually works? That's where my team at Made by Varsity can help. Made by Varsity is a full-service podcast agency that helps brands and entrepreneurs establish trust, build connections, and grow their business. So whether you need coaching and consulting to get set up, or you need turnkey solutions to manage and market your show from week to week, we've got you covered. Just head over to madebyvarsity.com and book a call with me today. All right, back to the episode. I think one of the things I'd like you to speak to specifically is really around the morning routine. I don't know if I've heard your take on the viral video that went out with was it Ashton Jeffers, the creator, where he splashes the ice water in his face, and
Oh, it wasn't just ice water.
He's
Brett.
mid.
It was Saratoga water.
Whoa, Saratoga water. Get that deer park out of here, right? And then he pauses in midair for his dive into the swimming pool for 3 minutes, and there's a whole morning routine
Brad, as one does.
As one does. That must have sparked quite the conversation probably in your community, because that's what you do. And again, I think
it's really
that's an example.
Because the thing about that video is it actually sparked more home conversations than it did community conversations. First of all, because Ashton, I think he went crazy viral, yes. But he also goes crazy viral in certain algorithms, right? So like he had a term, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way at all. It's like it was mostly men who got that video. Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm really sorry to all the men out there. So my husband came home and he said, "Oh, good morning, good life. You've got the perfect video to riff on, girl." And I'm like, this is awful. I was like, this is everything I stand against. And yet I'm also cheering for him so hard. But it was not that relevant, but it's also super relevant. So I have no excuse. But here's the thing. Most of the people following me are women who are entrepreneurial and trying to get their life together from a productivity standpoint. So the Ashton thing really didn't come up with us that much, even though he went like 100 million, billion viral. I'm sure they saw it. But if you read Good Morning, Good Life, which I have breaking news for you, Brad, in a second. If you read Good Morning, Good Life.
Exclusive here on Making Varsity.
Yes, exclusive. You know that I have 3 buckets: movement, mindfulness, mastery.
Yes.
I am not prescriptive. I want you to have the morning that's right on your terms. There are some people who wake up in the morning and it's 7 p.m. because of the type of lifestyle that they have. Like who am I to tell you exactly what to do, what time it is, all these things. I just want you to start the day on your terms. So what I loved about that video is that was very much his terms. That is what he does to start the day. But also, I am not very well lit with perfect lighting or my makeup done, ready to show you my morning routine first thing in the morning. If it's truly a routine to you, it's not something you're showing off. That's more my thing. But, then how would we make content online? I get it. But here's the breaking news. I just announced 5 minutes before filming this very podcast that I have signed my first traditional book deal. I've only ever self-published in the past. I just signed my first traditional book deal with Hay House, and I am over the moon about it because they are helping me bring back a brand new, revised and expanded edition of Good Morning, Good Life in 2026. So it's going to be a whole new world. When I wrote it in 2019, I wasn't a mom yet. There was a lot of, I had just lost my little brother. There were a lot of things that I was still going through, and it's going to be a game changer of an update. So I'm very excited about that.
And what I love about the movement, mindfulness, and mastery is that it is so flexible, right? And it is applicable to your situation. And I think that's what happens with those morning routines and kind of productivity hacks is we try to apply the method to our particular framework, and no one has your situation, right? I'm a single dad with 2 girls, 5 and 8 years old. I'm sorry, like my morning routine looks vastly different than somebody else, right? And so but what you can do is you can wake up with some bit of movement, some bit of mindfulness, and then, investing into that mastery. And I think that that's huge, and I'm super excited for the book. I think that's going to be incredible.
Thank you. I am too. Thank you. I'm really pumped about it. It's going to be cool.
I want to talk a little bit about your content creation journey. You've been on YouTube for coming up on 20 years. Okay. And I'm in this space. I new to this space really as a creator because I've been behind the scenes really in production, for the past 5 to 6 years before I, stepped into this new phase of my career. 1,500 videos. And so you are an overnight 20-year success. And it's amazing to see the fruit that's coming from that now and just, the consistency around that. I have so many questions really, really around that. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about your framework, just your content strategy. maybe amount of posts? What are you? I think you're looking at like weekly YouTube videos. I know you're very active on social. I know you batch Instagram Reels. So maybe if you could kind of lay out maybe a week for me. How many long form videos are going out? How many short form? As you're sort of talking with your team, where are you indexing on email marketing? Are you in paid community? Just like what's the content calendar? What's the mix there?
So, I mean, here's the thing. The business is as simple as it can possibly get. I don't like to have a ton of business offerings because when you have too many things to offer, you're mediocre at best and you're not the best for your clients. So I'm not doing a ton on like paid communities, things like that. But everywhere that you are publicly for free is an opportunity to connect with the right people in the business. So I'll just give you a schedule if that's what you're excited about. Basically, I've been on YouTube for a very long time. The channel that I've been publishing to since I launched my business in 2011, we are called Amy TV. It's once a week on Wednesdays right now. I want to increase it, but we are in a good place right now with once a week, and we have a couple things going on. So that's where we're at.
And that's a talking head YouTube video, right?
Yep. Anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. Like it really just depends. It runs the gamut.
Right.
I will sit in my very studio here and I will just talk to camera, and my editor handles it, gets it out for us every Wednesday.
100%.
We also publish shorts there a couple times a day. Shorts that also are on Instagram a couple times a day. Sometimes we remember to get over to TikTok, but my main platforms are YouTube and Instagram, with a little bit of flavor on Facebook. And email, we index super hard on because it's very important to have multiple types of communication with your audience. And so we always just have a multitude of reasons for leveraging the email list. I have a Monday newsletter, and a lot of other things happen there. So we have different ways of getting attention, and that's what supports the business and helps us promote what we have going on.
100%. So, I mean, the shorts and the reels, are those scripted one-offs, or are you pulling from the long-form content and repackaging?
Everything that I've been distributing as of late is long-form videos that have been cut up into a million pieces to be created for shorts. It's one of the ways that I've found to build a system in my business that doesn't require a lot of extra time. So if I sit down and I film a video that's got, let's say, 10 tips in it, then each one of those 10 tips is potentially a really valuable short video that I can share. But it's even more deep than that. Like one tip could actually be shared 5 different times if you can reshape the video to sound a little different, use different sound bites. So the short form team gets to have a lot of fun with those long form videos. So I'll sit here and I'll shoot, let's say it takes me an hour to get one video out of me. That file gets uploaded to a drive. My long form editor takes it, turns it into the final episode. My short form editor team, they take it and they cut it up into lots of different things.
Yeah.
So
talk a little bit about the P sheets method, and we'll put this in in the notes as well.
I'd love to share that.
If you DM Amy her P sheets method, this is how she approaches really sitting down to create a YouTube video or create a long form piece of content from ideation to execution. Give us kind of the bullets on that really quick, and we'll make sure to put everything in the show notes. Which, by the way, what I love about that particular lead magnet too is it's not the pretty design. It is literally her hand writing on sticky notes.
It's a marker. Yeah. I made a corresponding video for it because I was like, no one's going to understand this. I'm going to have to walk people through it. But it's the best. It's the best. I was really inspired by, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Zach King. He had something called the T-sheets. And his thing was always, how do you elegantly explain an idea for a video as simply as possible? And he just would have these sheets all over his wall that were broken out like the letter T. It was like, what's the title? What's this? What's that? And I broke mine out a little bit differently. So when you sit down, you say, I have a video idea. You need to make it make sense to everyone. So there's 2 P sheets. The first sheet is, how do we market the idea of the video? Because yes, you even have to market your video. Too many people jump to the part of, I'm going to film a video and it's going to be awesome, but they don't make it actually great on the front end, so nobody watches it. And if you want actual views, you need to figure that out. So you've got to start with, I'm just going to kind of break down 2 big pieces of it: the promise and the process. The promise is your title. People have a really hard time coming up with a good YouTube title. Usually they give it all away, like the actual whole entire point and punchline of the video. They'll sum it up in the title, and it's very sweet. It's very generous, but it gives you an out. You don't have to watch the video then. But if you can make a promise in the title, then you might start to get a little bit of the intrigue that's necessary for someone to say, okay, maybe I want to watch this. So what can you promise you will deliver on in the video? Everybody likes to say bad things about clickbait. Clickbait is actually very smart. You need to get some clickbait. Go get some clickbait. Bait somebody into clicking on your video. You're going to do that by making a promise in the title, and then when they watch the video, delivering on that promise. And audience retention rates, the amount of time someone spends watching it, is how YouTube and all these other platforms know that you're not full of it when you get somebody to click on that promise. So make a great promise, but then make sure you deliver on it. Now, the process is how I balance the scales a little bit with intrigue for the YouTube thumbnail. So the YouTube thumbnail is that first visual representation of the video. It's not even a video. Every other platform is playing the video before you're even ready to watch it to get you to watch it, right? That's why everyone talks about the hook, because the opening moments of a video are so important in the short form world, like TikTok and Instagram Reels. But on YouTube, we still get that hot moment for just a second where it's just a photo. That thumbnail is really important. So while we have a promise in the title, the thumbnail, I like to give a glimpse of the process. So for me, because I do tend to be very talking head, it'll be a photo of me, usually what I look like in the video, tying that continuity together. But there'll be text on that photo as well that kind of tell you what's going to happen. And it's usually like the name of a process. Let's call it the 90-minute rule. So if I say how to get everything done in a day, and then the thumbnail says the 90-minute rule, you love that promise, how to get everything done in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, but
what's the 90-minute
90-minute rule?
I want to know
right?
the 90-minute rule.
So now the intrigue of sharing a little bit of the process on the thumbnail is what gets you to go, oh yeah, I need to watch this. I need to find out what the 90-minute rule is because I want to get everything done in a day. So that's what I talk about in the P sheets. No matter how you do this, whether you want to go Mr. Beast style with your videos and have it be craziness all over the place, or you want to sit like a professional talking head and make it worth someone's time for the amount of time you talk to that camera, you just need to have a really solid opening. That the promise in the title, the process in the thumbnail, and then the second sheet, it's going to walk you. There's so much more to the P sheets. It's simple and yet very thorough. The second page will walk you through the beginning of your video. If I can tell anyone anything, if you just have a strong opener and a clear plan for the rest of the video, but a strong opener for the video, if you nail the first 10 to 15 seconds, you might be able to get somebody to watch you for 45 minutes. It's insane how much you just need to make somebody feel good about the fact that they made the right decision to watch your video, and they'll stay. Especially in today's world, YouTube is very much a TV for a lot of people. We're still scrolling our phones, we're on the treadmill, we're unloading the dishwasher, and we'll flick on YouTube. So as long as we clicked on a video and the opening was like, okay, I think I'm going to get out of this what I asked for, they'll just let that video play. Now, somebody may be passively watching you, but they're hanging out with you. You're in their living room.
Well, and it's changed, podcasting drastically, because now YouTube is the number one platform consumed for podcasts, and it was not that way. Now, the thing is that I actually have to set aside my own preferences with that, because I like listening to podcasts on the go. But the behavior and the data shows that people are doing exactly that. They're putting on shows like this on their iPad while they're doing dishes, right? Or on their TV or whatever it looks like. And that's the way that they're consuming it. And so I have just one more question, really just around just content strategy as a whole. And I am more in the podcasting space. And one of the things I've noticed that you're up to recently is that you've been going on a lot of shows that would really be termed as really smaller creators, this show being one of them. And, super glad that you're here. But I've been watching it, and it's not just productivity shows, not just leadership, but AI. Like, you're really going into all these different niches. And I have a feeling that there's probably a method behind the madness. And I know that you had a tenure where you were doing detail therapy and you were doing your particular podcast, and now you're focusing more on the long form YouTube side of things. But what is sort of your thought process of what you've been up to guesting on some of these shows? Because I have some insights for creators as well, just to be thinking about that.
Well, listen, this is just a pro move for personal branding, and I hope everyone does it. Let me start by asking you this. Brad, how many episodes do you have?
I am at episode 11 right now.
That's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly is it's 11 episodes with people who trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're building that trust.
Mm-hmm.
All I've ever done is try to build trust with people. And I do that through content. I can do that. I can continue to do that on my platforms. But if I want to get in front of the right people, the people that are doing things and talking to the same kinds of people that I want to talk to, but have tapped into them in a different way than I have been able to thus far, I want to borrow some of that rapport. So by coming here and saying, hey, Brad, can I be on your show? And you saying yes, you're lending me that same amount of credibility that I really would like to have with your community. And hopefully I made good on it, right? With interesting ideas here that people can use. I hope that's the case. And then if they come hang out with me afterward, then we can continue to build that relationship. If you want to scale up your impact, it's a very important thing to do is to get on podcasts and talk to people. And even more importantly than that, be humble enough to know that every single time that you talk to somebody on a podcast, you get better at talking about your thing. And I'm just getting better at talking about my thing. I'm becoming a better communicator. Every time I do a podcast, I say something, I answer your question, because you asked me a lot of questions today that were like, kind of self-serving, which is the best kind of podcasting. Because if you really actually wanted to ask me that question, that's what makes it more interesting, not people who are like, here's the right questions to ask, and I learn more about what people are really thinking, makes my YouTube videos better, makes my my future books better, makes my upcoming keynotes better. I get to take into account getting out of my own little vacuum. I'm just sitting here in my basement all by myself until I'm talking to real people. So when I coach people, when I go on shows, I get an opportunity to know what are people thinking, asking what's holding them up. And so it doesn't matter to me how big the show is. What matters is someone's proving they're getting their reps in. That's very important to me because I've never been the viral rock star. I've only ever been the one who had staying power. I'm looking for people with staying power who have a strong message, who are in front of the right people. And that's enough for me. But I decided a long time ago that keeping a podcast myself was not that same mission. I was already building that rapport with that audience in my really tried and true way. And I thought it's just not a good use of the business. And so we decided to shut detail therapy down. It was a fun time though.
Absolutely. And I mean, whether it's a guest driven show or whatever that looks like, I mean, my podcast coach, David Shands, he talks about this concept of like freshmen date freshmen, right? And that, early on, you're, the people that you're having guests on your show are really kind of in the same lane as you, right? They're running in that same lane, but every once in a while, you have that guest that kind of, that is, 3, 4, 10, 13 steps ahead of you. And you're right. There's a certain bit of leverage that comes with that. And then the power of it too is that, guesting on a larger show, you're kind of one guest in the middle of, so many other ones that are top tier guests. But being a guest even on a smaller show has a great deal of power just because of, like you said, the trust and authenticity that's built with like that. And so even in the like micro influencer space, you think of like a local restaurant, somebody that's a micro influencer in a particular city can move the needle for a restaurant in that type of marketing more so than like a big A-list star, and so that type of thing. So there's so many things. I wish we could keep going today.
I know,
but want to honor
so
your
much
time
more.
and gosh, so many things. Where can we find you? Where can we lean into everything that you got going up? Super excited about the book, but how can we also lean in? I know you got some new things in the work, and so where can we find you? Where can we lean in so that the Making Varsity community knows what's up?
Tune into me over on Instagram. I think that we talked about a lot of really fun stuff that I have going on over there. So if you message me either, you can message me message me playbook on Instagram. That's for the fake assistant method. You can get the full playbook. And if you like the P sheets, message me P sheets, and all of them will get sent to you for free. It's my way of just hanging out with you over in my world and Instagram. That's where I keep everybody updated on everything, and you'll be able to stay tuned to all of it. If you just want to go down a viewing rabbit hole, you're welcome to go to youtube.com/AmyTV.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much, Amy. Appreciate you being here today. Hey fam, thanks so much for joining us on Making Varsity. If you enjoyed this week's content, make sure to tap that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. For more resources, make sure to check out the description below and feel free to drop us a comment. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.